Hey, it's Iwa of Nom Life. Today we are making Dan Dan Noodles. This is a very well-known Sichuan dish. It's known for its spicy, numbing, and pickled flavors. This dish is usually served unmixed, so you're served pristine white noodles with saucy pork and veggies on the side, and you actually get to mix everything at the table. Really excitedly and watch those noodles change in colors and get really saucy and thick. Usually I stain myself because I'm wearing a white shirt and I always get stains on my clothes, but it is such a delicious dish to eat. It's got a ton of flavor. There's a lot of ingredients, but it's well worth it, so let's make it. First, we're gonna start with our meat marinade. This dish is usually served with pork, but we can't find any lately, so we're rolling with beef. So we have ground beef. So first I'm gonna add bean sauce, which you'll need to go to a Chinese grocery store to get this, but we highly recommend adding it to your dish because it brings a lot of umami to the meat. Next, you want to add some Shaoxing wine. So this is essential to many Asian dishes, so highly recommend getting if you don't have it already. Again, you'll need to pick this up at an Asian grocery store. And 1 teaspoon of dark soy sauce. A dash of 5-spice and some ginger powder. So what we love about Sichuan cooking is that it's similar to Taiwanese cooking in that there's a lot of pickled veggies involved. It really helps to break through all of the savory flavors and to add like a brightness and crunch to the dish. So today we're using pickled cabbage, but you could use pickled mustard greens or even kimchi or pickles, depending on what you're able to get your hands on. But highly recommend adding a pickled element to this dish. So even pulling it out of the bag, you can smell how funky it is. But all of these funky flavors that you can find in Chinese cooking, in sauces or fermented, pickled things, it cooks down really, really well and provides such a nice balance to the dish and adds just like a nice funky saltiness. So I'm gonna add the pickled cabbage in. And then I like to add a little Taiwanese flair to this dish because Dan Dan Noodles, there's so many variations on how to make this dish, but I can't cook without having some star anise and cinnamon, so I'm actually gonna add that into the meat marinade and get everything nice and mixed. I like to add the star anise and cinnamon just for extra depth and to add a little bit of like sweetness to the dish. So we're gonna let this meat marinate for a little bit. You don't need to have it marinate super long to get a ton of flavor. We're just gonna let this marinate for about 15-20 minutes. So I'm gonna set this aside and let these flavors run through. Next, we're gonna make what's essential to the Dan Dan noodles, which is the sauce. First, we're gonna start off with a sesame sauce. We're using a Chinese brand of sesame paste that uses roasted sesames. You can see that's darker in color than maybe some other tahinis, but you can use tahini or whatever is available to you. You can even use peanut butter if you're really in a bind, but if you can find Chinese brand sesame sauce, we recommend you going this route. Next, we're gonna add in chili oil. We're using our homemade chili oil recipe from Aunt June, which we highly recommend making. The recipe video for it is here. It goes with so many things. It really gives it a nice spicy crunch and helps to accentuate the Sichuan flavors of this dish. And then add some soy sauce. So next we're going to add some ground Sichuan peppercorns. You will need to buy these at an Asian grocery store, and you'll usually find them in whole peppercorns, and you can grind them at home either using a mortar and pestle or a food processor, or even just by hand with a knife. Sichuan peppercorn is essential to this dish, and you can't really replace it just because this is where that numbing spice flavor comes from. And a little bit of 5-spice, just a dash. And then we'll add a little bit of sugar to cut through all the saltiness of everything that we added. I like to use a Chinese brown candy sugar, but you can use regular sugar if that's what's available to you. And then we're gonna add 3 cloves of garlic minced. So we finished mixing the sauce. Our sauce has a little bit more texture and crunch. If you want it to be smoother, you can add more of the oil from the chili oil versus the actual like crunchy bits. So it's really your preference. So now we finished our sauce, we can set it aside. So you're gonna add in your meat and cook it until it's brown. So this is what's nice about the cinnamon and the star anise is it adds, while it's cooking, it adds in that little bit of sweetness and herbal aromatics into this. So you do want the meat to be a bit drier here because you have the sauce to coat it in after. You don't want it to be too saucy, otherwise your whole dish will be super wet. So now that my beef is browned, I'm gonna set this aside. And next up is boiling the noodles. So we're using a dried white noodle. This dish, you can use what's accessible to you. You can use ramen noodles, you can use spaghetti, but we're gonna go with these dried white noodles. So I'm gonna add a little bit of the water from the noodles I just boiled into the sauce. It helps to thicken it to be a nice even consistency. So we're gonna put the sauce down first, and then the noodles, and then beef with veggies. And we're going with gailan, which is Chinese broccoli, but you can use bok choy or whatever veggies you feel like adding. And to top, we're gonna add scallions, and we like to add a little bit of like sugary peanuts, so we just toss in a little bit of grated brown candy sugar on top, but you could use regular sugar in with crushed peanuts and mix together. And then a little bit more of that pickled cabbage. Let me give this a taste test. A lot of sesame, you can really taste the sesame and the chili oil. And there's just enough Sichuan peppercorn to like numb your mouth, but not overpowering. Because that stuff can be powerful. If you like your sauce to be thicker and a little bit more saucier, you can always add more of the starchy water. I personally like a more drier noodle. Now I have my husband come try Dan Dan Noodles and see what he thinks.
Hey, what up? All right, taste test. Looking for the stamp of approval. Very aromatic. Definitely smell the sesame in here.
Is it too spicy?
No, it's good. I think it could even be spicier if we wanted. I think this texture of noodle is good. It's like just the right amount of chew without being too thick, and it coats the sauce really well. Sesame paste is covering, it's really flavorful, deep umami. Tastes about the same, if not better, than that Taiwanese brand. Good job, babe.
Wow.
Seal of approval granted. Back to poker.
So thank you for watching. If you liked this video, click here for more recipes like this from us, and follow us for more easy and simple, delicious Asian recipes. Thanks for watching. Follow, like, and subscribe. I gotta eat.